Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is so good to have you here again. How are you doing? Trust you're fine. Have you checked on yourself today? Remember what I said. If you watched my last video, I actually have been in this place where I see the need for all of us to check in on ourselves, right? Don't just gloss over the how are you question. Don't take it like a formality. Be mindful of where you really are. How is your heart? How is your mind? What's your mental state like? What is your heart like? Where are you? Really, really, where are you? Without comparing yourself to someone else or without trying to tell people, give people the response you think they want to hear. Yes, so very quickly, we're going to be diving into today's topic, today's video. So I had actually, this is like an overdue video. Wow, I should have put this out there a long time ago. Yeah, but yeah, we're here now, we're doing it. So I was supposed to be doing a video called Road to 40, like to share significant moments in my life up until my 40th year. So as at the time I'm recording this video, it's a few days to my 40th birthday. So I yeah, it's a few days to my 40th birthday. So I thought to do this and just share some major remarkable moments up until 40. There are so many things to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm just going to touch on a few. So one of the things I'd like to share about, I think I had done this when I did my 39th birthday. I had this gratitude party online where I was sharing every day for 39 days different things God has done in my life, like 39 major testimonies. So I know that is a lot, so I cannot do all of that in one video, right? So I'm just going to pick on some things and just share them again for those of you who missed reading them, and those who just want to hear them again, maybe with some extra details. Yeah, so you're welcome to my gratitude party on the road to 40. All right, so one major thing I remember is how God saved me from electrocution at age 8. I remember how that we lived in this house where there was a lights meter up in the front veranda, like the front porch. It was up there, so that was our basic play area. So on that meter, there was this red wire that stuck out. So it was red, then there was a blue, green, and other colors of wires, but that one just stood out. I'm not sure why it stood out, but in retrospect, I know why it stood out. Now, I didn't know anything about naked wires and all of that, but for some reason, from the moment I noticed that red wire, I just had this strong urge, like to go up there and touch it. Why would an 8-year-old just have that knowing, that be motivated to go touch a wire that's sticking out on a meter? It was not a toy. It was not within reach. I realized that, see, in this life, sometimes the things you think are your thoughts, they are not your thoughts. They are the devil. It's the devil talking to you and trying to manipulate you to suit his own plans and purposes. Perhaps he saw my future like this one. We cannot let her live beyond age 8. We must take her out. So that thought was just there. Now I didn't share with anybody, but it was irresistible. Like it was a very strong urge. Climb up there, touch it. So now this front veranda where we played, it had this burglary proof, the one that runs from the ground to the top of the house, and that was common in Edo State where we grew up. So I would climb, as you would have to climb the burglary bars to get up to where that meter was, right? So I remember that on a particular day, the enemy has set the scene. Everything was ready. My parents were inside. It was a quiet day. My siblings were inside. And for the first time, I was playing by myself. And immediately I was like, yes, this is the opportunity. Like, why would that even fascinate a child? So without my shoes on, I climbed up. Now I didn't know now, but then I realized that that red wire had a naked wire sticking out of the tip of it. So I climbed up without my shoes, held onto metal, climbed up there, reached out and touched it. The last thing I remember was that I reached out, right? And for a split second, all I knew was that like it happened so fast. The next thing I was thrown away with such a powerful force. I hit the floor. But the amazing thing was that the moment I fell, I stood up and I ran inside and I comported myself. Nobody knew what had happened. Now, I say it again and again. I did not feel that floor. I didn't break a bone. I didn't have a concussion. I didn't hit my head. I didn't have to lose my memory. There was no injury. Now, my 4-year-old son fell from the arm of a chair in my living room when he was 4, and he broke his elbow. That was like it was not so high. He just tumbled and he fell the wrong way, and his hand, it was on a cast for like 3 weeks. Now, I fell from that height, 8-year-old. I fell from that height. I didn't break a bone. I didn't feel the floor. I didn't have a headache. I went to school the next day. Life continued. Nobody knew. In fact, I think my mom and my family members only got to know about this last year when I turned 39. They did not know about that experience. So I am here today. I'm grateful to God who was mindful of me, who looked out for me. Even then, my parents were not even some Jim Christians. They were just, in fact, I don't think we were going to church then. In spite of where my parents were at that time, the mercy of God spoke for me, and I am so grateful. He spared my parents from grief. He spared my siblings from grief. Spared my family members from grief, and He did not allow my destiny to be cut short. For that, I am super grateful to God. Now I'm not sharing this in any particular order, right? I'm just thinking about some things that stand out, that have shown God's hand, guiding and leading me all through these years. Yeah, there have been challenges. Wow, a lot of them, loads of challenges, but in all of it, I see God's hand. God has been good. God has been faithful. God has been kind. God has been very gracious. One other thing that stands out was my NYSC, my NYSC posting. So when we were posted, I think my parents were like, okay, that was about the time where there was not a lot of unrest in the north, and they were like, oh, our children cannot serve in the north. So we had an aunt then who was able to help us work my posting to Lagos. I did not want to serve in Lagos. I didn't want to come to Lagos. I wanted to have an adventure. I wanted to experience another part of Nigeria. Like every time I'm on holiday, I grew up in Edo State. So when I'm on holiday, the only other place I go to is Lagos. So I wanted to experience another part of Nigeria, but my parents insisted. And coincidentally, at that time, when we were now about to go to camp, I had this horrible cough. That's a different story for another day. Like we had treated, gone to hospitals, done everything, but it was just getting worse, you know. So my mom was like, you see, if you had not been posted to Lagos, there's no way you would have saved this. I know my mom, she would not even allow me step out of the house. Now she allowed me go to Lagos because I had family there. Her younger brother was there, so she felt like, okay, at least you still have somebody who can keep an eye on you, like your own, like you were his own child and all of that. So I was posted to Lagos State for my youth service. So I came to Lagos, and while I was on camp, one of the things I noticed that was really going on then on camp was how um people were busy working out their place of primary assignment. Like they're making calls. I'll hear conversations like, oh, you need to serve in a bank, oh, so that they can retain you. You don't want to be looking for a job after service. So everybody was busy like sorting out their career after NYSC, like securing their future. Because after NYSC, the next thing is, okay, your parents are no longer really in the place where they want to keep feeding you and housing you. They want to also see you make progress, like take steps towards getting settled financially and in your career, right? So everybody was really working hard. Those that had contacts to oil companies were pushing buttons, making phone calls. Those that had contacts to the airport, they were doing their thing. Those that had contacts to banks. So everybody was doing all of that. And I was just looking like, me, I don't know anybody. I didn't know anybody to call. And there was a lady in my room that was, while we were on camp, like next to my bed. So like, you're just quiet. So I've not seen you calling anybody. You're not talking about your place of primary assignment. She now asked me, what did you study? I said English. She said, English. Just forget it. They are going to send you to a primary school. Everyone who studied English is going to, they send them to schools. And even as at that time, I was like, hey, send me to a school. I don't think it's not a bad thing to be sent to a school. So like, I beg, you have to be very, very strategic in your life. Like, position yourself well. That she's pushing all the buttons. She cannot leave anything to chance. So after a while, I think she came again. She was like, this girl, I don't trust you. I think you're like one of those people in school that will read and pretend as though they don't read. She now said that, I think you know somebody You have already sorted yourself. I said, well, with God, I'm sorted. Physically, I don't know anybody. And this young lady did not believe me. She thought I was just holding my contact. I didn't want to share. I didn't want to extend my long leg to her. So I was like, I've told you what I know, right? I don't have anybody, and my trust is totally in God. Then one of those days we had this our coppers fellowship that we called Coppers Love World. Then so one of those days we had our meeting, and then we played a short video on and my pastor was sharing. I was talking about the three Hebrew boys, how they were thrown into the fire and how God miraculously rescued them. And then he began to say, he said this particular line, he said, it does not matter where you are posted. When he said that, I grabbed it. That was God's word to me. From that moment, because I was like, really, these people are pressing buttons. They are planning and strategizing for their future. I'm not doing anything. So, but when I heard that line, I knew that I was not stranded. I was not disadvantaged. So I held on to that word, that it does not matter where I'm posted. God has already ordered my steps aright. So we stayed the remaining weeks on camp, many days on camp, and then the letters to our posting letters to our primary assignments came. And this lady that was pressing buttons, that was telling me, oh, that I was too laid back and all of that, she came out like, hey, I don't die. I'm like, what happened to you? She said, I was posted to a primary school near Badagry, that she doesn't even have family there. That is too far away. What is she doing in primary school? She was just lamenting. She was so brokenhearted. And I was like, don't worry, you'll be all right. Said, no, no, no. What is she going to do with teaching? She was really upset. Then when it got to my turn, I picked my letter, and it showed, first and foremost, location was Ogba. And it showed the name of the place. Now the place was like a TV production company, like they did content for TV and radio, right? And that means, of course, if you are doing content, they're going to need writers. So she now started like, I said, did you this guy? I said, you are not good, you're not good. Look at the place they sent you to. I said, I don't even know this place. I don't know how I was sent here. I don't know anybody there. Me, I schooled in Ekboma in Edo State all my life. I don't have those kind of top-notch connections. My parents are just humble people there, right? So who do I know? In fact, while I was studying English and literary studies, I had no idea that a career could be built around it. I was just following God's leading one day at a time. I didn't know where it was going to lead me. I didn't know what it was worth financially to study English and literary studies. But at that time, at that moment, the dots began to connect. And I was like, okay, let me go find out what this place is about. So I went there, reported on that very day we left camp. I reported there, and they're like, okay, I should come back on Monday. I came back on Monday. I was sent to the content department. My people, that was where writing just opened up for me. I learned how to write TV script, radio script. I had a supportive boss, and the person I used to call my small oga then, we're still in touch now. She was just amazing. Then I used to type with one finger. I didn't know how to type. Like, my life was so analog. When I left school, we did not use computers. I was a big computer illiterate. I typed with one finger. I would just be pressing. And thank God for her. And that's this lady that was like my supervisor. She was always patient. She would just be teasing me like, compassion, one finger, and we laugh about it. So she gave me room to grow. And even my boss that was like overseeing our work, eventually he too, initially was a bit, but eventually he too now became patient. When he saw, after I typed with one finger, whatever I typed, he liked it, right? And he was like, okay, take this, do more. And my speed began to increase gradually. I sit down and before you know it, 3,000 words, bam, 5,000 words, and that was how the journey started, with one finger, right? Typing with one finger, so I I went through all of that, and that season, that 1 year, they gave me confidence in my writing. That was where my eyes were open to what writing could be. Now I look back, I realize that God was the one leading me on, from choosing my course to going to that particular place. In fact, by my fourth month, they told me that the owner of the place says he's retaining me. Like, they were that pleased with the work I did. But then, I'm going to talk about this in another video, right? Then I did not have mentors. I was really very naive. And at that time, I was just preoccupied with the fact that, okay, I was going to get married. I was getting married and I was moving away from that part of Lagos. I was going to be going very far. I was going to Ikorodu. So when they told me about it, I was like, oh, no, we're moving away. So I didn't even bother taking their offer. But one of the things the GM told me was like, you know what? She said, if you change your mind, our arms are open wide. I love how you write. And I was really encouraged. Now, even if that was all I took away, the commendations and everything, it gave me confidence. You know, there's something about validation in certain areas of your life that boosts your own confidence, and you realize that, oh, this thing I carry is worth something. On my own, I thought writing was just a hobby. I've been writing for fun, but I didn't know I could build a career around it. So that was how God ordered my steps into writing, and how the writing could become a career. Now I know there is now this story for another day. This long stretch of after I got married, how I was not working. Okay, I did freelancing for a while, but I now kind of like I was not in circulation. I was kind of being and in the backside of life, right? But well, I take those seasons as building seasons for me. But that's why I said it's a lot for, and it's a long story for another video. But there, yeah, that was what happened. I now had this time out. After I had my second baby, the GM from that organization reached out to me and said, oh, we have moved, and we are now in so and so place. She sent me the address. So you can see she still had me in mind. Like that was like maybe 4 years after NYSC. That could have only been God. And that also strengthened my confidence. Like, oh, if she's still thinking about me, that means there was really something about what I wrote, right? And that was how my journey into writing as a career, as a job, as what I do, that was how it actually started. And if it was by my background, no, I would not have known to even ask for that company. If it was based on who I knew, I didn't know anybody who was even in that industry. But God, who knew, who saw my future, He ordered my steps. That is one of the most humbling things that has happened to me. When I look back, I'm like, God, I'm grateful to you. You are really the God of my journey. You are the God who sees. So I thought to share that today. So wherever you are in your journey of life, know that God has plans for your life. When He says, my thoughts towards you are good and not evil, truly He means that. It is what it is. It is exactly how He has said it. Trust God, lean into Him. The arm of flesh will fail. Imagine I didn't know anybody on camp while everybody was calling, pressing buttons. I didn't know anybody. But then God went to work on my behalf. Frankly, everyone I know who did not process their place of primary assignment that studied English, they were posted to primary school, secondary schools. What most of them did was that, okay, they went, reported there, and they went back and found a way to work it to maybe Glow, work in MTN and places like that. But I didn't have to do that. I am so grateful to God. Yeah, so grateful to God for leading me in that season of my life. Until I come your way again, take good care of yourself and keep winning. Bye.